here we go. 6 minutes of witchcraft with me, Laura Tempest Zakroff. So for this particular episode, I want to talk about labels. It doesn't seem super exciting, but it's a really important topic, especially when you consider in modern society that we tend to be hyper-focused on how do we define people. What are their labels? What are their backgrounds? Whether it's coming to a pronoun, a gender, a sexuality, do you define as pansexual or asexual or demisexual, and all these micro categories of things. It's like getting it down to exactly what are you? And I think that becomes a sort of thing where we're just trying to figure out like who are we? And in this society where we have so much information thrown at us, and we're all being bombarded with information every day. When you think about the internet, like all the things that are going on and all the social media and everything that's going on in the news. So we have all this information, so it's very natural for us to want to like go, okay, but what am I in all of this? And not only do we use it for self-definition, but we often tend to be like, well, how can I define you in regards to me? Which is a bit of an othering mechanism if you think about it. But it's between, are you part of my tribe? Are you not part of my tribe? Which has its benefits and also has its drawbacks, especially when we start to put people in this, well, if you're not in my group, then you're definitely not part of the equation, even though that we're all in this mess together. So there's a few things I wanted to cover. First is a little bit of confusion about a word that I somewhat generated now going back nearly 5 years, and that is Pword, like the letter P word, Pword, if you really want to go with that, but tend to say Pword. And some people have taken that to mean that I don't want to use the word pagan or polytheist or pantheist or whatever these words. I have issues with either these words. I don't have issues with any of these words. You can call yourself whatever you want. When I started blogging again and writing to the general witchy community back around 2014, I stumbled directly into the slightly changed landscape where people were very focused on, well, I'm not pagan, I'm definitely polytheist, or I'm not this, I'm an animist, but not a pantheist, but then this. And it's like, whoa, okay, that's great. You all sort that out. However you want to define yourself is awesome. However, let's not get bogged down into those details. Let's look at the bigger picture and talk about the issues of what is affecting all of us, whether you consider yourself a polytheist or a pantheist or a pagan or a neo-pagan. Those labels aren't so important when we're trying to discuss issues of sexual abuse. How do we keep communities safe? How are we defining morals and ethics? What do we do in these different crises and situations? How do we network better? It's, so people take this time to be like, oh, well, you're not talking to me because you didn't use my specific label. And out of frustration, I said, fine, you're all P words, pantheist, polytheist, whatever P word you want. It's not meant to be disrespectful. It's a matter of get over the shit and let's start actually focusing on the important issues. I'm not saying that labels aren't important, but if you're going to use that as a shield to bar you from going deeper into discussing what applies to all of us, all right, then you need to get your priorities a little more aligned, which, hey, look, that's another P word. And the funny thing is that people sort of kind of run with that because they've also recognized that, how do we, there really isn't a one community, right? We are a whole bunch of marginal folks, many diverse different paths, gods, no gods, 2 gods, 6 gods, whatever your menage a trois of deities might look like. I mean, we have all these different cultural differences, but we often find that we're kind of still in the same category when it comes to human rights and trying to practice our own paths. And we have a lot of things in common, more things that we have in common than we have not in common. So that is where P word comes from. I don't have an issue with any of those words that begin with P. Let's not go down that path past that. But hey, look, more P's. So there's that. And here's the other thing about labels is that it's really important for you to understand what labels you apply to yourself. As my partner Nathan likes to say, labels are best used when self-applied. If you're like, I'm a witch, and I'm a witch because these are the things I see associate with this word. If you call yourself a druid, if you call yourself a polytheist, if you call yourself an animist, a Wiccan, whatever label you choose, what is most important, not only to you, but to anybody else, is to be able to express what does that mean to you. Because with just the word witch, that can mean over a dozen different things to many different people, depending on what the cultural context is, how it's being used, so many different things. And in Weave the Liminal, hey, look, a book, another one. Chapter 2 is Who or What is a Witch? And I've had some people going, oh, it's just another 101 books. So I have a group that we've been taking the book apart, basically section by section. And when I was reviewing over this, I'm like, there's really nothing basic about exploring. You know what? I still have things to say. So we're going to stop that. We're just going to keep going. Oh no, more than 6 minutes. There is nothing basic about exploring what a word fully means. Because there are so many 101 and other books out there that don't even define witch and look at the context of it. That break down the myths that have been propagated by, look, another P word, been propagated by books. So just sort of like rolled along, yes, which means this, and we'll just roll along through that. And that has also led to confusion. So I think if you are going to choose a label for yourself, that you should truly understand what it means or how you personally see it. What is your lens that you're looking at that word through? Because that means more to you, and it also helps you be able to describe what is you're talking about to other people. So if you say, oh, I use the word witch because it means this, and if somebody else says, well, no, I think it means this for me, well, you're both right, because language is a fluid thing, and there's a lot of nuance out there. Well, yes, another word. So labels. Don't get too hung up on them, because they do have a tendency to change. I know folks who started off like, I'm a pagan. No, I'm a neo-pagan. I'm a Wiccan. But no, I'm pantheist. Whatever the word is, that's fine. You have the freedom to change your labels, because again, when self-applied, this is your path. This is your journey. When we start going, well, these people are definitely that, then we get to the point where labels really can become harmful, because people are responding to the word rather than looking at the people behind them. And so I think the way to wrap this up into 7 minutes of witchcraft is, yes, use labels, find what categories you want to, where you feel like you sit on the shelf of life, that you feel comfortable with, use it to find other people, but be cautious that not everybody will understand how those labels applied, what they mean to you, and really be careful about saying, well, this word means that for all of those people, because that's not going to be accurate. It's a lot more wishy-washy than that. Words are important. Words have power. Yes, they do. So we don't want to use them like weapons, and we also don't want to use them as, particularly, I guess it's still a weapon, is a bludgeoning tool. This is the only way it is. So when I use something like Pword personally, it's more a matter of, this is, to my country folks. You're like, I'm in the city. See what I mean? All right. People get caught up on the words rather than looking at the message or the intent behind that. So there's a lot. We could probably keep going on. And oh my gosh, now we're almost at 10 minutes. So I'm going to shut up now. And so if you have questions or thoughts, you can put them in the comments. Please subscribe and all that other good stuff. Oh, also, I'm going to be at PaganaCon in Minneapolis this weekend. So this is March, 22nd to the 24th in Minneapolis. So look up PaganaCon. It looks like pagan icon. People pronounce it different ways. So I'll be there teaching 3 different workshops in vending. So if you're going to be there, say hi. Bye.